Welcome to the Derek Creason Show. This is episode 15. Coming up on today's show, we got movies. We're going to talk about 5 different movies, including new movies that are out, like Inside Out 2 and Twisters. We'll talk about some TV show news. We'll talk about music and the latest concert I've been to. We'll talk about the latest book that I've read. We'll also cover some of the latest news regarding the assassination attempt investigations. We'll talk about the RNC speeches, and then we'll also talk about the massive CrowdStrike outage yesterday that affected the whole freaking world. So that's what's coming up on today's show. As always, I welcome your feedback, your questions, your suggestions, etc. Derek at derekcreason.com is the email address. At Derek Creason on X, Instagram, YouTube, and Rumble. Head over to my website, derekcreason.com, for my latest updates. You can sign up for my newsletter there so you can stay up to date with what's going on. And lastly, my book 20-something, boom, right there. It's available on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle and paperback. Links are all over my social media page, or you can just go to amazon.com and type in my name, Derek Creason, and it will show up. Recent life updates. What have I been up to? Today is Saturday, July 20th. So what's been going on? Well, we had the 4th of July a couple weeks ago. For that, I went over to my brother's house and hung out with him and some friends and blew up a little bit of fireworks, but mostly we watch his neighbors who get a permit from the city and block off the street and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on fireworks and just set off these humongous, expensive, exploding fireworks. And it's just a good time to get to see friends and family, so I went over there and did that. In July, a lot of the kids have been going to different camps, summer camps, for a week at a time, so we've had one kid out, 2 kids out, 1 kid out, just depending on the week, so been dealing with that. Amy had her wrist surgery a couple days ago. It went well. She's recovering, so I've just been taking care of her lately the last few days and just helping her recover and hopefully get back to normal with her wrist. I went to a concert 2 nights ago on Thursday, so we'll talk about that in the music segment coming up. And then also, the NFL is almost back here. Preseason's about to start here in a few weeks. Teams are at summer camp. Teams are at training camp. See, I'm wearing my Chiefs shirt from the reigning, defending 2-time Super Bowl champs. We're looking forward to having another good year as a Chiefs fan with Patrick Mahomes, who's awesome. So that is what has been going on lately. Hey, are you craving more of the Derek Creason Show? Come join my locals community and become an insider. It's totally free. It's like a VIP backstage pass. And inside the community, you'll get exclusive content you won't hear anywhere else, including behind-the-scenes secrets, my unfiltered takes on the latest news and pop culture, and even sneak peeks at upcoming projects. You'll also get a look into my creative process as well, and new ways to interact, connect, and engage with me in the show community directly. Plus, if you decide to become a supporter, you'll get bonus episodes not available to the general public. So come hang out. It's all about supporting the show and building an awesome community. Go to thederekcreasonshow.locals.com and become an insider today. There's tons of free content that you won't find anywhere else. All right, let's jump into the show. All right, let's talk movies. All right, first up is Live Free or Die Hard, also known as Die Hard 4. This movie came out in 2007 and was controversially rated PG-13 versus the regular R, like all the other Die Hard movies that had come along so far. It was directed by Len Wiseman. He did Die Hard 2, which I liked. A fun fact, they actually filmed it as a regular Die Hard movie with the F-bombs and all that kind of stuff, and then they edited it down to a PG-13 rating to try to get more eyes on it. This is a rewatch. It's kind of funny to go back and watch. In 2007, this was all about bringing John McClane into the digital age and him not quite fitting, being an old school guy. But he was also just being the only guy really willing and able to go do and fight the bad guys. And so they kind of played off on that trope a little bit. And it was also kind of funny to see them try to mansplain all the tech words and the cyber stuff and the hacking and use all the latest cyber buzzwords in 2007, which are pretty commonplace today. And here, I'll show you a funny example of that.
It's a fire sale. Hey, we don't know that yet.
Yeah, it's a myth anyway. It can't be done.
Oh, it's a myth? Really? Please tell me she's only here for show and she's actually not in charge of anything.
What's a fire sale?
It's a three-step systematic attack on the entire national infrastructure. Okay, step 1, take out all the transportation. Step 2, financial base and telecoms. Step 3, get rid of all the utilities, gas, water, electric, nuclear, pretty much anything that's run by computers, which today is almost everything. So that's why they call it a fire sale, because everything must go.
It's a fire sale. Everything must go. So, that's the funny clip. They talk about all kinds of crazy cyber stuff, and the hacker guy who wrote all the secret code and uses it against the government to try and steal a bunch of money. So, for Live Free or Die Hard, I would give it 4 buckets of popcorn. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. So I have been watching through the main 9 Star Wars movies with my 7-year-old, and I think we've only got 2 left. This is a classic movie from 1977. I won't talk about it too much because everyone knows the main New Hope Star Wars, but it seemed a little slower pace compared to the other ones, but that's also 40-ish years ago almost, so that's kind of the difference for that. My only main complaint is that it's hard to find the original cut anymore. I wish all the digital versions on like Disney Plus, or I've even got some on DVD, they're all the special edition remakes where George Lucas went back and updated some of the effects and added in scenes he couldn't do before. So like he added in the extra scene with Jabba the Hutt, or he changed it to where Greedo shot first instead of Han. I don't know why he felt compelled to go in and make those. Kind of annoying. I like the originals better. That's my only minor complaint. Still a classic, and it's kind of neat to think about how they made all those special effects back in the 70s before CGI. For Star Wars Episode 4, I would give it 5 buckets of popcorn due to it just being awesome and being a classic that has inspired decades and decades of content and other shows and movies and all kinds of stuff. So next up is Inside Out 2. So this is a sequel that has been way too long, way overdue in my opinion. The first Inside Out movie was excellent and very entertaining and compelling, and this sequel was almost just as good. So this is about Riley becoming a teenager and getting new emotions like anxiety, and the old emotions are afraid that they're going to get replaced and taken over. It was a little short. It was only like barely 90 minutes, I think, but it was very impressive on how they creatively explained how things work in the brain, especially with puberty and new emotions coming in. I really enjoyed it. My wife is a therapist, and she was fascinated by it and how accurately it portrayed so many different aspects of how different parts of your brain work and different emotions work and how you react to them, and just how accurately it portrayed that kind of stuff that you have to deal with in your brain. It was funny. It was good. So I really liked it, and for that I would give it 4 buckets of popcorn. It was good. All right, next up is See No Evil. Once in a blue moon, I will watch a horror movie, and this is one I picked randomly just because I knew it had the WWE wrestler Kane in it. Occasionally, WWE they have a film studio production wing of their company, and they will try to help push their wrestlers into acting in movies, and usually not always successful. It just depends. This was a 2006 movie, and here's the plot. A group of delinquents are sent to clean the Blackwell Hotel. Little do they know, reclusive psychopath Jacob Goodnight what a name, Jacob Goodnight, has holed away in the rotting hotel. When one of the teens has captured those who remain, a group that includes the cop who put a bullet in Goodnight's head 4 years ago band together to survive against the brutal killer. This is a cliche slasher film, horror genre film, and where almost everybody dies, and in a surprising order too. I won't spoil all that if you haven't seen it, but just kind of B acting and definitely a B plot for a horror, but still entertaining just to see what tropes they're going to hit in the horror genre and what's going to happen in this movie. The guy likes to collect people's eyeballs. He rips them out and keeps them in jars after he kills them. So creepy in that sense, but silly and entertaining. I would give it 2 buckets of popcorn for meh. It was okay. All right, and next up is the newest movie, Twisters. This movie has just come out this week. It's in theaters now. It's PG-13. It stars Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell. And this is a sequel, a loosely based sequel on the original Twister from 1995 that everyone loves and is a classic. And I say sequel by basically it had the name and the font and that they chased tornadoes. There's no characters related. There's no stories related to the first movie, so nothing to do with that. But it's about the story of the girl. Her name is Kate. She's a retired tornado chaser. She's had some trauma in her past, and then she goes back to Oklahoma to work with a new team and new tech. And then they also have to deal with the Glenn Powell character, who is the crazy YouTuber who's out there just tornado chasing for views and stuff. And it's a very entertaining movie. It's got some funny bits. The action is really good. The story is actually pretty good as well. I enjoyed it. And the special effects were just flat out amazing. The twisters looked awesome. None of it looked like CGI movie. It all looked real. And I went and saw it on a GXL screen at B&B Theater, so just a big screen. And it was super loud. The seats were shaking. It was so loud from like the bass in the tornadoes, so that made it even more intense. So it was just exciting. It was a fun movie. I went and saw it with my dad. We're both big tornado fans, and we both liked the original Twister. We've probably watched it, I don't know, 30, 50 times. So here is a clip from the new movie Twisters.
Hey, Boone, I'm having trouble with this trigger here. What's going on? Give me the build test. Seems quite close. Yeah. Hey, Ben, can you give me some water? No, yeah, it feels like it's a little sticky. Boone, this is all chocolate. Sorry, man. You gotta quit eating chocolate in the damn chocolate.
They're just chilling. Just here comes tornado. It's fine.
Augers deployed.
Would that work in real life? I don't know. They're all just screaming. That guy's scared.
That was the one I was gonna get!
Alrighty. So, there's the clip from that movie. I just saw it last night. I thought it was very good and very entertaining, and for that, I would give it 4 buckets of popcorn. Alright, that's going to do it for movies today. Alright, let's talk TV news. So, you like to watch TV? I like to watch TV. Let's talk about it. So, the only thing I got today to cover in TV news is I got this in an email from comicbook.com, and this is what I saw. It said, Halo TV series canceled at Paramount Plus. My initial reaction was, no! I actually really liked this show. I liked both seasons, even though season 1 didn't get as good reviews. I thought it was very entertaining, and I'm disappointed that it's not renewed for a 3rd season. The article says that blah, 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 no answer, blah, 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 blah. So it's been canceled. They said Paramount Plus is trying to cut costs everywhere. But the company that made it, they are also still kind of shopping it around to see if another network wants to pick it up. And they're hoping that that might happen. Kind of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and some other shows now. Occasionally when they get canceled, other networks will pick them up and keep them going. So there's still a little bit of hope out there for Halo fans. I really enjoyed the story. I thought the graphics were awesome. And I've played a few of the Halo video games. And so that's the sad news today in TV land, is that the Halo TV series has been canceled. So I vote boo. If there was a way to vote for it to get picked back up, I'd do that. So let me know what you think about the Halo TV show. Have you seen it? What are your thoughts on it? And are you sad as well that it's going to be canceled? All right, let's talk music. All right, 2 nights ago on Thursday, I went to a concert, and I went and saw Bowling for Soup and 2 other bands I never heard of. So I was mainly there to see Bowling for Soup. They are a pop punk band from the early 2000s. They've had a couple popular hits. like Girl All the Bad Guys Want, 1985, Stacy's Mom. And those are mostly the songs I knew them from, whatever the big singles were on the radio. I didn't realize they'd had, 5, 6, 7 albums out. But basically, this was a 20th anniversary of one of their albums, and so they played that whole album in full. And there was actually 4 of the guys in the band, but one of them was out sick, so it was only 3 guys. But they played really well for only having 3 guys, and they sound pretty good. And the singer sounds really good for being 52 years old and having been doing this for 25, 30 years or so. Here, I'll show you a couple short videos I took from my cell phone, and the quality actually sounds pretty good. It's not like most cell phone videos you see. So, here, check this out. Everybody knows this song. I got one more. I think this is the one I meant to play first. Same song.
Here we go! Let me just hit the wall. Never had it all. One Prozac a day. Husband's a CPA. No cheers me out the door. She's for 24. I'm in with one man. Boy, haven't you her plan? She's gonna be an actress. She's gonna be...
There you go. There were some video clips from the concert that I went to. It was a good time. They played for probably 2 hours. I didn't even actually stay for the whole time because I'm old and had to come home and get ready for work on Friday. And I'd been standing for 3 hours, so my back was killing me. But it was a good time. I enjoy live music. It's one of my favorite things to do is go hear bands and watch the guitars, watch the drums, watch how they all play together, listen to the mix, enjoy the... I don't know what's the word. Enjoy the camaraderie, the excitement of the crowd. You can't really replicate that on CDs or studio music, so it's just kind of cool to experience together with people because it's just a set moment in time, and you get to relax and have fun and be away from work and responsibilities and just enjoy loud music. So that's what I love about live concerts. And let me know, what's the latest concert you've been to? What are you looking forward to? Who do you want to go see when they come to town? And we will talk about more music anytime you want to talk about it. I love music. All right, let's talk books. So I mentioned this in my Driving with Derek episode the other day that I was listening/reading 1984. Well, I actually finished it, and I wanted to talk more about it. So 1984 is a classic book. It was written in 1949 by George Orwell, and if you haven't read it, I would highly recommend it. It is a very interesting read/listen. It's a dystopian science fiction book set in the future of 1984, and it is all about kind of covers the themes of like global governments, totalitarianism, mass surveillance. Here, I'll just read some of it to you. Thematically, it centers on the consequences of totalitarianism, mass surveillance, and repressive regimentation of people and behaviors within society. It says, the story takes place in an imagined future in the year 1984, where much of the world is in perpetual war. Great Britain, now known as Airstrip 1, has become a province of the totalitarian superstate Oceania, which is led by Big Brother, a dictatorial leader supported by an intense cult of personality manufactured by the party's thought police. Through the Ministry of Truth, the party engages in omnipresent government surveillance, historical negationism, and constant propaganda to persecute individuality and independent thinking. And that's exactly what it is. It's the government persecuting individual and independent thinking. The main character, Winston, thinks that there's something wrong and starts to think about it and tries to join a resistance group and is actually captured by the government and then basically tortured and brainwashed and reprogrammed. And in the end, he ends up loving the government. And it's just really interesting to see how this was written in the 40s, and this was a guy's idea of a possible future based on communist ideas and socialist ideas, and just it's very eerie to see how a lot of these things have manifested themselves in today's society and the way governments behave and try to change the past and change what people think about the past, and so they can change the future, change what people believe, let's change the meaning of words. So many words have been co-opted today and had their meanings changed so that people lose the relevance or the significance of what the words originally meant. You can go look up the jobs of like historians are disappearing so fast in colleges. Nobody's studying history anymore. People are changing it all. A lot of it's just being rewritten to fit people's agendas. And it's very hard to go and study that stuff now without just jumping into complete tribalism and agendas and people fighting back and forth over ideas of what they want something in the past to have represented rather than just what actually happened. And so this book kind of ties all that together. It's fascinating. It's an interesting story, but it's also fascinating to compare and contrast to how it all plays out in today's society. So if you haven't read it, I'm sure you've heard of it, 1984. You'll hear words like Orwellian, people's thoughts and ideas, and you'll hear a lot of phrases like 2 + 2 = 5. That is straight out of this book. So if you haven't read it, I would highly recommend it. Go check it out. That is what I have to say about 1984. It's a great book. All right, let's talk the news. We're going to talk about some of the latest things going on, and then we will also talk about some politics. I know some of you guys don't like politics, and I know some of you guys do like politics. We'll try to keep it fairly level-headed. So first up, well, we got to talk about the main thing that's been going on this last week, the assassination attempt of the former president. So I am following along on the investigation stuff, and the FBI is in charge of it. And so far, there just seems to be more and more questions than information to come out. But basically, everyone agrees there was a tremendous security failure by the Secret Service and the local police. Some of the main questions that a lot of people have, and I have, is like, why aren't people resigning? When was the last time somebody was fired for not doing a good job? I remember the Secretary of Defense didn't show up for work for 2 or 3 days a while back because he went and had surgery and didn't tell anyone. That was a big, huge mess up. This is definitely a big mess up. The more information, hopefully, will keep coming out about this, the more questions will be asked so that things like this don't happen again in the future. Regardless of your politics, we should not be assassinating our political opponents. It's just not a good practice for any type of republic. Some of the things that we've been hearing about is that the senators were briefed by the Secret Service, but they were only allowed to ask 4 questions in that briefing. That seems kind of fishy. It's coming out that there was no drone coverage, so no aerial surveillance to help with that kind of stuff. It also turns out a lot of the agents there that day were stand-ins or fill-ins from DHS who weren't necessarily Secret Service agents. It's also come out that the shooter was identified as a suspicious person almost an hour ahead of time, if not earlier. They had video of him using a rangefinder. They went to try to find him and interview him, but they lost him in the crowd for a while. Supposedly that they may have been after him, and that's why he got up on the roof, was to try to get away from him. They don't know that for sure. There were some local cops that were trying to get to him on the roof. You've seen the videos of people saying, hey, there's a guy on the roof. One of the cops boosted up another cop to try to climb up to the roof, and they saw him up there with the rifle, and then the guy pointed the rifle at the cop, and then he had to fall down to the ground to not get shot in the face. And then they radioed everybody. We don't know how long that was before he started shooting. A lot of questions still remain, like, hey, if there's a suspicious person or a threat, why weren't they interviewed, identified? Why wasn't the event delayed 10, 15 minutes while they went and found that and took care of it and negated that threat? Just a lot of questions like that. A lot of protocols seem to have been missed. A lot of back and forth between Secret Service versus local police, who was in charge of what areas and what buildings, etc. A good resource that I'd recommend for this, I don't listen to him all the time, but Dan Bongino, he is a conservative talk show host. He's a former Secret Service agent, and he has a very good perspective on this, and he's trying very hard to be level-headed and stay out of the conspiracies and just report facts. He's got some really good inside sources, having worked in the Secret Service for 12 years. I'll put some links in the show notes. I listened to 2 of his episodes over the last week talking about this, and he's been breaking information sooner than some of the mainstream media sources because of his inside sources, and they've turned out to be accurate. And so he asked a lot of good questions. He has a pretty good perspective on it coming from his history. I found that to be a very useful resource to try to hear and stay up to date on what's going on. I hope that this doesn't go the way of the Las Vegas shooter and everyone just forgets about it and there's never any answers. I hope that there are people with enough clout that will just say, hey, this is unacceptable, and we're just going to keep pushing for this and digging into it until we get the answers. Because like somebody said, hey, the truth has no agenda. It's just the truth, and if the truth is that, hey, some people messed up and some people did a bad job and some people need to be fired or resign, then that is part of the fallout from this situation. But that the truth is the truth. You can spin it and try to make it fit your narrative or your agenda, but what happened, and there's a reason for it, and eventually, hopefully, it will all come out. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is the Republicans and the Democrats. So the Republicans just had their convention in Milwaukee this week. It seems like that the Republicans are coalescing and kind of building big tent and bringing lots of people in from general America. The populist part of the wing of the party seems to be growing. They seem to kind of be unifying and bringing people together, especially after the assassination attempt. A lot of people are just like, hey, there's a lot of things wrong. Trump may not be your favorite person. He's not my favorite person as a politician, but I don't wish ill upon him. And if he does end up winning, I hope he can do some good things for our country. So I do got a couple highlights from some of the speeches. I've got 2 clips from speeches, and then Trump's speech was 92 minutes, so I haven't had a chance to watch it all. I've seen a few highlights, but I haven't found some good clips for it to go over. But we'll go over some other clips here. This is from Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who originally ran against him in the primary. Here's some of the things he said.
Life was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
That was true.
Our border was safer under the Trump administration, and our country was respected when Donald Trump was our commander-in-chief.
I'd agree with that.
Joe Biden has failed this nation. As a veteran, I was appalled when 13 of our service members were killed in Afghanistan due to Joe Biden's dereliction of duty.
Yeah, I'm so upset about that as well.
As a citizen, as a husband, and as a father, I am alarmed that the current president of the United States lacks the capability to discharge the duties of his office. Our enemies do not confine their designs to between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. We need a commander-in-chief who can lead 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. America cannot afford 4 more years of a weekend at Bernie's presidency.
That's pretty good. A weekend at Bernie's presidency. Yeah, I'd agree with a lot of what he just said there. And the main question is about Joe Biden. If he is not capable, they're going to say, hey, you're not fit to run for re-election. They'll say it's because we don't think you can win. But, if he's got the dementia so bad that he can't function and not good enough to run for president, then why is he not? That means he's not good enough to be running and leading it now. So who's actually in charge? Who's making decisions? How many people in power knew about this, and when did they know it, and how long have they let it go on for? And those are a lot of good questions that are reasonable to ask of our government leaders, and they should be held responsible for those answers in those situations of where we're at. And sadly, I don't think a lot of that will happen, but those are definitely worthy questions and worthy to be held accountable to. All right, the next clip up. This was pretty entertaining. They had Hulk Hogan came out and spoke for a few minutes, and here's a short clip of what he had to say.
What happened last week when they took a shot at my hero?
Comes the traditional Hulk Hogan
and they tried
promo.
to kill the next president of the United States. enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again. You know something, Trumpites? I didn't come here as Hulk Hogan, but I just had to give you a little taste. As an entertainer, I tried to stay out of politics. But after everything that's happened to our country over the past 4 years, and everything that happened last weekend, I can no longer stay silent, because I want the world to know that Donald Trump is a real American hero.
All right, so there you go. There's some clips from Hulk Hogan talking at the RNC as well. And I thought that was, people may say that's cheesy and silly, but, part of it is the show in politics and entertaining. And, Hulk Hogan represents that classic 80s, 90s Americana. And a lot of people can relate to that. And a lot of people can relate to the simple things that are, some of the obvious themes of, hey, life has been more expensive and a lot worse the last 4 years than it was previously. I think that's kind of what part of this election is. It's a referendum on Joe Biden's leadership the last 4 years. And, with inflation and the cost of everything and the way things are going foreign policy wise and Ukraine and et cetera, just there's a lot of things that I'm not impressed with. And I think as a generality, every 4 years, every 8 years, you'll see it kind of swing back the other direction, and they'll let the other group lead, and then everyone gets upset, and then they'll switch and let the other group lead. And we'll see if that kind of plays out like it has over the past. But it feels like the energy is kind of growing and going well for the Republicans right now. Who knows if they can hold that momentum together and keep it going for the next 3 or 4 months till the election. And then it seems on the flip side, for the Democrats, things seem to be falling apart. So they seem to be in chaos ever since they had the debate a couple weeks ago, and Joe Biden did really bad, and his dementia was full on display for the normal America, the rest of the world to see, people who don't really follow politics very much. They've kind of been in chaos, and there's been a lot of infighting, and there's been a lot of rumors and people coming out saying, hey, we don't want Joe Biden to run. We don't think he can win, and whether they say it's because he can't win or because of his health, is he going to drop out? Is he going to drop out of the race? Will they 25th Amendment him? There's more and more public pressure growing for him to drop out of the race. So the Democrat Party appears to be just kind of in chaos and disorganized. And so will they be able to get themselves back together? We'll see when their convention comes up here in a couple weeks in August. Who are they going to nominate? How's this all going to play out? People talk and pontificate all day long about what's going to happen, and they seem to know all, but, just like a random Saturday, things can change on a dime, and then the script is flipped, and you never know what's going to happen and how the world's going to react. So it'll be a good drama show all the way up until the end and probably way after. Hopefully we can try to maintain some semblance of our democracy and our republic that we have here in our country, and not a banana republic, and not just people cheating, people killing, people doing whatever. And then most of us normal Americans who are frustrated by it all have no recourse to help make it better. And so hopefully we can get back to some semblance of normal America and not just the total chaos of and the tribalism of the other side is complete evil from both sides. Hopefully have a normal country again. Will that happen? Probably not, but that is the hope. Those are some of the main things going on today in the news. Let's talk computer nerdery, computer news. So yesterday there was a little bit of stuff going on in the world with IT security stuff. You probably woke up just like lots of everyone else did, like I did. I woke up to messages about it at 7:30 a.m. There was a massive cyber outage from CrowdStrike. Here, I'll just give you some highlights. Here's an article from the Hacker News. It says, faulty CrowdStrike update crashes Windows systems, impacting businesses worldwide. If you don't know, CrowdStrike is one of the best, well, used to be, is one of the best, probably one of the top 2 or 3 companies related to EDR software, which is advanced, what we used to call antivirus software that runs on the endpoints and keeping things secure from all kinds of malware and attacks running against computer systems. So they pushed out an update, I would assume, to a lot of their managed customers where they manage everything for them. And that update ended up causing blue screens on Microsoft computers. And Microsoft is run on most computers around the world today. Even though I like Linux machines much better, Microsoft is around a lot. And so this grounded airlines, this closed a harbor, I read. It just stopped banks, it stopped hospitals, it took down 911 emergency responses, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, airlines, financials, food and retail chains, hospitals, hotels, news organizations, rail networks, telecom firms are just stuck with this. They pushed out a fix for it, but basically you have to go in and log into the individual computer, boot it into safe mode, delete a specific file, and change it. A lot of PCs are out there. People don't have local admin privileges, so your IT department is stuck trying to fix this. Luckily, I didn't have to deal with it at my company. We weren't affected, so I was really happy about that. But if you know people who are working in IT, a lot of them are having some long weekends, a long few days. They are still working on this right now, so there's been a huge outage. Here's what the CEO of CrowdStrike said. Blah, blah, blah. We're actively working with customers. The issue has been identified, isolated, and fix has been deployed. We refer customers to the support portal for the latest updates and will continue, blah, 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 blah. So they're trying to save face, but there are already investigations opened up with government agencies and all kinds of stuff. There's going to be a lot of fallout for this. If you're a stock person, maybe go buy the dip and see if they go back up, but their stock is down quite a bit. I think 15% was the last I saw. That is some of the big news that's going on. Were you affected? Was your work shut down? Was some of your partners' work shut down? It's kind of crazy in these days. My company wasn't affected, but some of our vendors were. Most companies, we have some solutions that run in the cloud or run by other people, whether that's Microsoft or whatever it may be, Google, Amazon, Other companies can have outages that affect your business, and it's nothing that's even your fault or your company that got breached. Or like in this case, they weren't hacked or, broken into. It was just a misconfiguration that got pushed out. So they should know better to not push updates on a Friday. That's kind of like the cardinal rule in IT. Don't push updates to production on Friday. You're asking for trouble. You're asking to lose your weekend and get stuck having to fix it. I'm sure this one will be talked about for quite a while, and will be interesting to see how it all plays out. Did it affect you? Did you get the blue screen of death? I had people texting me who aren't in the tech industry at all. They're like, hey, have you heard about this? Did this affect you? I'm like, yes, I've heard about it. I was up at 7:15, 7:30 messaging about it before I even went to work on Friday. So it's a big one. It'll be talked about for a while. Let me know what you think about it, and we will move on. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. I want to say thank you for listening and watching and hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed the podcast, let me know. Send me your feedback. I always appreciate that. Derek@derekcreason.com is the email address where you can send me all your feedback. At derekcreason on X, Instagram, YouTube, and Rumble. You can go to my website, derekcreason.com, see the latest updates, sign up for my newsletter there so you can stay up to date with what's going on. Go over to Amazon, check out my book, 20-something. It's available on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle or paperback. I have links all over my social media pages, or just type in my name, Derek Creason, in the Amazon search bar and it'll show up. The Derek Creason Show. You love the show, now get exclusive access. Become an insider in my locals community. It's like having a front row seat. You'll get behind-the-scenes secrets, unfiltered takes on news and pop culture, sneak peeks at upcoming projects, and members-only bonus episodes. Plus, you can connect directly with me and see how the creative process of the show comes together. So come support the show and let's build an awesome community. Visit thederekcreasonshow.locals.com and become an insider today. All right, so be sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast wherever you found it. We're on all the major platforms. Like and share to your heart's content. Give me your feedback. I will see you guys on the next episode. Later.